Hi everyone,
And Happy New Year!
hope you're all doing well.
This third part of the very special Christmas edition of Sailing Southern Promise will take us from Lake Vättern all the way down to Mem in the Baltic Sea.
Hope you enjoy the show.
It's Wednesday morning and we are waiting for the bridge here to open. It opens every half hour and it's 8 minutes until 10 o'clock. Now we are in Lake Vättern.
The very west side of Vättern, and we'll cross Lake Vättern into Motala today. That's plan at least.
And right in front of us is the Karlsborg testing where we saw that airplane.
We are now mid Lake Vättern. Even if the wind has been blowing now for several days very hard from the west to the east, and that is our course, the seas are coming in from the southwest. So another rolly day with the seas coming in from our side.
Coffee and vacuum cleaner. crew gets ready to go out in the wind. And tests the headset. We will need them now.
Men de gjør i vinden her, så det litt utfordrende. Det, så da må du være klar med den bobbsaken.
A boat neighbor is ready to help, so we don't need the boat hook.
Jeg ser. Ja, fint. Da er vi klare til det.
In the evening, the weather has brightened up. It is now sunny. Diana pulls in to dock here for the night. She is on her way east, like us. And even later, Juno comes to dock here in Motala as well for the night. The crew from Diana helps Juno with the forward spring line, so that Juno gets into dock easy. Two beautiful old ladies. The next morning, both Juno and Diana has left, and we go for a walk in Motala. First up is Göta Kanal headquarter building, here in the main city of Göta Kanal. It all began when Baltzar von Platen started the mechanical workshop here in Motala. Roger is always interested in mechanical parts, especially engine parts for ships, like this crankshaft. And this one was made here in Motala. Motala Ström is the river system that drains Lake Vättern into the Baltic Sea in Norrköping. Here in Motala it runs in parallel to Göta Kanal. We take a look at Motala Lock. And while we are there, the bridge is opening. And this sailboat enters the lock to be locked down.
Baltzar von Platen was the driving force, the founder of the Göta Canal back in the early 1800s.
Von Platen is also responsible for the distinctive street plan in Motala, with streets radiating from Motalaviken. And we are back in the marina. Da er jeg klar bak.
La den gå. Så flytter den hvite så langt bak så du får den.
Vi er løs.
Ja. Har du flyttet den?
Jeg har flyttet den.
Ok, da går jeg litt forover.
Er det kunstverker som går?
Ok. We just left our dock here in Motala. We had a pump out and now we are waiting for bridges to open. Close to here there are 3 bridges. There's one local road bridge, there's a highway road bridge, and then there's a rail road bridge.
And a lock.
And a lock. Klarer du å hive løkka over sånn at de havner på den som kommer opp nå, eller? The sign on the bridge says next bridge opening is at 1100. Lyser det grønt?
Jo, det lyser grønt. Blinker grønt.
Ja.
Vi kan ligge her.
Ja.
Det er dypt nok her.
Ja. Den fikk vi grønt lys
Hva?
med. Den fikk vi grønt lys med en gang.
Ja. Coming up on the port side is Baltic from Platon's grave. We are now in an area where the canal runs close to the river Motalaström. We are now heading for Charlottenborgbron, and these lock keepers, bridge openers, communicate so that we almost could go straight through. Hvis vi finner plass.
Ja, visst det. Vi sätter på höger steg här och längst bort till vänster också.
Längst bort till vänster, ja. Göta Canal boats for hire docks here.
Det er jo også ledig plass foran Ceres.
So we take that slip. One of our shortest leg on our canal cruise. Looks nice over there. To get over the canal we will have to cross Treøresbron, this bridge.
We are now docked at the Motala verksted, also Motala Works. It was the main site for building structures for the canal. It later became a machine shop building crankshafts for large or big engines. They didn't make complete engines, just fabricating crankshafts for those huge ships' engines.
Here it is a museum of the works on the canal from the start and up to today. This is a model of how they built a lock. Winter works replacing lock gates. Now it is time for lunch at Café Malboden here at Motala Verkstad. When we are on our way to go over the bridge, the Kungsverker passes by on its way back to Motala. Treøresbroen is a hand-operated bridge. On the other side we find this steam locomotive. We end the day by taking a walk along Motala Strøm and find this old hydroelectric power station.
Okay, we're heading out of Motala Verkstad, or Verkstad, as they say in Sweden. We're heading down now to Bodenshult, where there's a flight of 5 locks. So that will take us down, like I guess about 30 meters, something like that.
The crew jumps down to the lock wall to handle the lines during the lock operations. Bowline here. The water drains quickly. The lock gates opens. Time to fix the lines. The crew walks the line to the next chamber. Entering chamber 2. Securing the bow line before we take the stern line. The captain helps with the stern line. Lock gate opens, ready to get into chamber 3. Entering chamber 3. The water drains to the next chamber. The lock gate opens and the captain gets ready to take us to the next chamber. The crew walk the line to the next chamber. Entering chamber 4. Ready to take the stern line. The captain rushes to help. The boat are hit by the brisk wind, so the crew have to pull the boat back. The water drains fast now. The captain is checking status. Lock gates opens, ready for chamber 5. Entering chamber 5. The lockkeeper has been running back and forth to lock us down and the Kungsverker 2 chambers behind us. Ready for the stern line. And picking up the bow line. The lock gates opens and we exit the Borensult's flight of locks. We will stay here at Borensult tonight. And while we are docking, the Kungsverker exits the Borensult's flight of locks and heads into Lake Boren.
Definitely the biggest soft ice we have ever had. This is size XL.
Shortly after, the Wilhelm Tam comes gliding behind the trees on her way to the flight of locks.
Så bra, nu har jag alltså framme i våren. Som hade mest.
The Wilhelm Tam is also hit by the brisk wind. The deckhand jumps down to the lock wall to handle the lines during the lock operations. Deckhand signaling to the captain. Captain on port bridge wing relaying the signals to the deckhand handling stern line. Wow, whipping the line off the bollard. Entering chamber 2. Wooden pole fenders crushing against lock wall.
Ni flyttar från pollen lite.
Entering chamber 3. Entering chamber 4. Entering chamber 5. The water rushes out of the locked chamber. More wooden fenders crushing.
Då ligger vi 40 minuter tidigare. Ja, klockan är 10:01 och vi ska vara igång här.
The William Tom exits the locks and heads into Lake Boren.
First order of the day before casting off is to set up the side-mounted cameras and connect the power bank to make them able to run all day. Camera in position and tilted outwards. This is the type of shots we get from these side-mounted cameras. The Seagull leaves Borenhult Pier, and so do we. After crossing Lake Boren, we enter the Göta Canal again. This must be by far the longest pier along the Göta Canal. This is the pump-up station. We will need to use this before we head off again. This part of the pier looks as good as any. We will dock here. Most of the docks along the Göta Canal are low relative to the fair leads on our boat. In Törboda we had the dock lines climb off the bollards, making the boat drift off. While in Motala we acquired lifting straps to make a noose that would stay firm on the bollard. This is our first time using them. Time for some bike exploring of the Bodensberg village. At the end of the pier, boats are waiting for the bridge and the lock to open. The bridge barriers are down and the line of cars waiting to cross the bridge is building up. We divert into a dirt road hoping to get to the shoreline of Lake Boden. Alas, we ended up at the farm and had to return. The bridge is in the upper position again and a new line of cars is forming. This is Motala Ström. The bridge across here is a fixed bridge. This is the local ICA supermarket. We use the opportunity to do some provisioning. Not a marina along the canal without a mini golf. The Diana is on her way west to Gothenburg. We had planned to leave today, but after fighting heavy side winds and locks earlier on, we decided to stay another day. The lock here at Borensberg is the only hand-operated lock on the eastern part of the Göta Canal. The lock operators will not need to go to the gym after a day's work. Not a Göta Canal transit without visiting the restaurant at the more than 100 years old Göta Hotel.
Dette var det bra.
Har vi vært på Göta hotell?
Göta hotell.
Wow, she's repeating the Willem Tom way of doing it.
When pulling out from the pump station, we have to spin around again to head in the right direction. Not much room here. Nicely done, Captain, to spin us around just using the engines. Guest boat dog Nomi comes to watch what is going on.
Inväntar 3 motorbåtar från andra hållet.
Okay.
Jag tror ni är bara för att åka in, men ni ser grönt ljus.
We will wait here at the dock to let the other boats pass through. Nomi and our second guest boat dog Guri are both on the foredeck, checking out the geese. The lock is ready for us. The lockkeeper closes the lock gates.
Så grön, inte en bil och inga farliga krön.
This is the only lock on the eastern part of the canal that is hand operated. Boat crews are encouraged to help out. Insert locking pin. Just out of the lock, we passed the Göta Hotel that we visited yesterday. Just around the first bend, we see this beautiful gazebo on the canal bank. One of many beautiful old houses along the canal. A fleet of Göta Canal hire boats. One of very few lateral marks in the canal. short stop here to let the biking camera crew get on board again. While craning the bike, the Vasa Leon passes by on her way to Borensberg. Even though she moves fairly slow, she pushes a lot of water, making us wobble around. On our way again. All the small drawbridges we have passed today are remotely operated from this bridge cottage. Coming up is a canal overflow that drains down into the Norrbysjön on our port. In this area there are a few of these lateral marks. On approaching the next bridge, we have to slow down to let 3 westbound sailboats pass through. Green light, we are allowed to head on. When old trees dies, new trees are planted, and you can buy in to become a sponsor for these 3. From a distance, this looked like one of many barns in this area. Just when passing, we saw it also contained a restaurant and a pier for visiting boats. If we had planned ahead, we could have pulled in here and had lunch. One of many picnic areas along the canal. Stop locks are used to isolate parts of the canal in case of canal sides collapsing or planned maintenance. We will call it a day here at Malfors. This dock looks just perfect for us. On this dock there are iron rings to thread the dock lines through. Our hook and moor boat hook is perfect for pulling lines through dock rings while standing on the foredeck. Even easier is getting assistance from a helpful bystander.
Gjennom og tilbake.
Docked for the day here at Malfors. Malfors is filled with advertisement for Cloetta sweets. This is a goal for exploring Ljungsbro. We found the factory and the gift shop. We purchased Sweden's most sold cars and chocolate. We were just about to start up for the day when the Wilhelmtam tells us she is coming. The sailboats have to get out of her way. With the Wilhelmtam through the bridge, we can get ready to start.
Hyggelig sted du har. Veldig, veldig fint sted. Takk.
The first adventure today is the Ljungsbro aqueduct. Southern Promise on top of the road. Then the Vasa Leon passes us again on her daily tour to Borensberg. She will also steam over the road like we did. Guri and the crew readies the lines for the first lock of the day. The lock opens for the boats going up. Ready for Southern Promise.
Vänta lite, vi är helt klara idag.
Ja, det är ingen fara.
On our way to the next lock. The lock is filled with boats. We will have to wait. A heavy wind gust pushes us over onto the lock wall. The crew tries to push us off. The lockkeeper told us to wait before the next lock, but where? We have to pass this boat first. This is the waiting dock. The oncoming boat exits the lock. We can cast off and head on again. Green light, we are allowed in. This restaurant burned down to the ground just a few days ago. Luckily, no one was hurt in the fire.
Vilken fin båt.
Ja, tack.
Helen, buen in.
That was the last lock for today. We have been through 4 double locks, that is 8 lock chambers. In front here is Karl Johan flight of locks, that is for another day. We will stay here for the night at Berg Upper Marina. But first we will use this pump out station. Done. And find a nice spot to dock.
Filling water and watching the water tank meters.
Here at Berg there is a lock gate exhibit. The lock gates last for a long time and will eventually have to be replaced, like this from Motala dock that we passed some days ago. The cast iron in these lock gates lasts for 200 years, the wood about 30 years. Klemman was earlier always open, but from 2016 there are regular lockage also here. The lower pier was previously made of only wood. In the 1980s they started using steel, but they turned out to live only 30 years. They are now being replaced with cast iron gates. In the morning of 7th of July, we leave the dock at Berg Upper Marina. The main goal of today is to descend the 7 chambers in the Karl Johan flight of locks and head to Norsholm. The upper lock is closed, so we head for the waiting dock. And wait we did. The crew heads to the lock operators to check when we are due to descend. There are numerous boats ascending the flight. We will have to wait at least a couple of hours. And we wait. Two and a half hours later, it is time to check progress. Now, the Juno has started her ascent in the flight. Entering the last chamber. Let's hope it is our turn next. She is signaling, asking us to move backwards, giving her more room when exiting the lock. As there are several boats just behind us, we cannot move. We are pulling the bow in to make a little bit more room for her.
Da er vi sikkert klart til å gå og ta det.
Finally, after waiting 3.5 hours, we entered the top chamber. As we enter the lock, the downpour really starts. This will be a wet experience.
Är ni redo?
Yes. The captain is hiding from the rain in the pilot house. Lucky him. The pouring rain makes the canal bank very slippery. To make an unpleasant day even worse, an easterly wind has started piping up. The best way to spend such a day is to relax and sleep. We are at the easternmost part of Lake Roksen and closing up on Norsholm. The lockkeeper advises us that the marina at the other side of the bridges and lock is full. We will have to dock here for the night. This rail bridge is on the main line between Stockholm and Gothenburg. The train runs back and forth constantly, and some of them at very high speed. There must be a considerable gap between trains before the rail bridge is allowed to open. The boat ahead of us is allowed to pass through. The lock is opening for oncoming boats. We have a green light. The lock operator are eager to have boats to move swiftly to be able to lower the rail bridge again. This is the only lock on the Göta Canal that has fixed lines hanging down on the lock wall. Looks like a cozy cafe we will try to visit when it is not raining like today.
Bare slakke foran. Altså ikke slippe, men slakke, så da hvis baugen sklir ut, så er det ok.
We are hoping to squeeze in somewhere along this dock. The very end of the dock is free. We head in here. The dock here is low and the bollards are wet and very slippery. It's time to use the lifting straps again. As we are tidying up, the Wilhelm Tam passes us on her way east. We visit the Lock Cafe and watch the trains run. The Wilhelm Tam is back again here at Northzone, to dock for the night this time. Nice try, sir. I believe she is way too heavy for you. Set the bowspring line. According to tradition, the steamers greet each other and passengers wave using white towels and napkins and whatever white.
After I spent a few days in Norsholm, we are now heading east. We're waiting for the bridge to open before we can head on. There is another bridge and 2 locks before we get down to the next lake.
The bridge opens, we can release the lines. We see the red light and we hook up to the waiting dock on this windy day. The bridge opens, we can release the lines and head on. This bridge hasn't been in use for a long time. This is a cozy lock cafe we visited yesterday on a bike ride. Had fika along with a cafe hen.
We have now descended into Lake Asplungen. This is our sixth and final lake crossing heading from sea level in the west to the Baltic Sea in the east. So far today we have descended 2 locks, and we have I believe 5 single locks and 2 double locks left for the day. Lake Asplungen, where we are now, is at around 30 meters, I think. So we have descended almost 60 meters from the highest point on our canal travel.
For those biking along the canal, this boat ferries them and their bikes across Lake Asplungen. Their small outboard broke down and they were trying to paddle to the next dock.
Är ni svenskar? Norska. Norska, okej. Okej. Tack.
We asked the lockkeeper to allow them to lock with us. And that was okay. This seems to be a suitable dock to leave our stranded sailors we have been towing. The wind crashes us into the lock wall again, like it did a few days ago. Pushing 30 tons is really hard.
Så kan du lägga er på vänsterryggen, du ser det båten
Ja, ja, ja.
ifrån där. Så kommer sen är det bara vinkarna.
And that pesky wind hits us again. And again. getting the lines ready to dock at Klevbrinken for the night.
Ja, så er det ringer bortover her.
We pull in here.
Til land. Sånn, mener du?
Ja. Og så setter du bare løkka i. Se her.
Ja.
This is Klevbrinken dry dock, where many of the canal boats are kept during the winter. After spending hours on the boat, we take a hike and revisit today's last lock. Look at those lock gates, they must be new for the season. We are getting ready to depart the dock at Klevbrinken. We are planning to go to the small town Söderköping. It is only half a nautical mile from here.
Ja, bare ta det.
The wind pushes us off again. The captain has to bring the boat back in to get the crew on board again. This is the E22 bridge. It is heavily trafficked and it only opens on the whole and half hour. We will have to wait. Even after just a few minutes, a line of cars is forming up. Rabbit Crossing is a set of sculptures that depicts rabbits crossing the canal. The marina here looks really packed. Will there be space for us? Our only chance will be if one of these two boats will be leaving shortly. Sorry, no. We will have to revert back to the dock at Klevbrinken.
Hei! Er det ledige plasser nede?
Inte just nu är det fullt faktiskt.
The captain has to do his famous canal spin around. Southern Promise does not have adequate bow or stern thrusters, so the captain has to use only the engines for this maneuver. The lack of adequate bow and stern thrusters makes us rely heavily on spring lines when docking and undocking.
We are heading into Söderköping for some ice cream, maybe a glass of wine, do some provisioning, yeah, etc. So, come along.
The rabbit crossing by Eva Fornå depicts rabbits fleeing from the woods on the other side into Söderköping. Time for lunch.
That was lunch, a Greek lunch.
Provisioning at the local Hemköp supermarket. Finding our way back to Klevbrinken. Crossing DE22. Our trusty cart is really handy when provisioning. Line of cars again. There must be a bridge opening. When we get to the bridge, the traffic is flowing again. Today will be the final leg on the Göta Canal. We will pass Söderköping and plan to dock before the very last lock into the Baltic Sea. We will have to wait for the bridge to open again. Oops, the Diana is coming this way. The canal is very narrow. Pooh, she is docking here at Söderköping. The lock is busy. We will have to wait here. A deckhand from the Diana gives us a hand.
Ja.
Half an hour later, the lock is emptying and it is our turn.
Okej.
Ja, jag behöver stänga av motorn bara.
Okej.
Toppen, tack så mycket. Får ni ha det så bra? Tack. Ja, tack så mycket.
Most of the dock space here below the lock is reserved for day tour passenger boats, like the Victoria. The lock gates are closed. We prepare for docking at the waiting dock. As the passenger boats have priority in locks, we had to wait for the Athene to ascend before entering the lock. We are approaching Mem. Behind this tree line we get a glimpse of the Baltic Sea. Mem is the eastern exit point into the Baltic Sea. This must be the dock we requested. Getting a helping hand is always welcome. We have gotten guests on board relaxing on the Southern Promise stern porch. Another of these day-tour passenger vessels on her way up to Söderköping. She will dock for the night at the reserved docks below the Söderköping locks. On our last night on the canal, the Juno locks down into the Baltic Sea, like we will be doing tomorrow.
Yeah, we are now at Mem, the very last lock of the Göta Canal. We will descend, like, I guess, about 3 meters down to sea level into the Baltic Sea. It has taken us exactly 1 month from entering the Göta Canal in the west until today, when we are exiting into the Baltic Sea. We are taking it very slowly, no rush, just relaxing sail. It helps. It's maximum speed 5 knots. We have waited for locks, we have waited for bridges. It's a slow pace life on the canal.
While we are waiting for other boats to lock down, we take the opportunity to fill up our water tanks. Waiting for our turn in the lock. When this boat exits the lock, it is finally our turn.
Hade ni 400 eller enkelbiljett? Enkelt? Ja, vad bra. Tack snälla. Är vi redo? Ja. Ja.
Other boats are about to start their canal adventure. Thank you, Göta Canal. Hope to see you again.